some people say, was it an out of body experience? And maybe it was. I feel like my body was somehow expanded as well, that everything was big. And I I experienced, just it seems so simple to say, but it's a dramatic experience if you haven't had it before, where I just became one with everything, one with the universe. This everything disappeared and I was just in this wholeness, this unity, this oneness.
Hi, everybody. A warm welcome to Wisdom from North, the Nordic platform for personal development and spiritual growth. I'm Jannike, and today you're going to meet a really lovely and wise woman, Connie Huebner. Connie has actually had a divine encounter with the Divine Mother. And in this interview, she was explaining how she was an atheist, but she was still on a search for God. And she's explaining the whole story in this interview of how she forgot all about it, but all of a sudden she had a divine experience of oneness. And later, she also experienced to have a meeting with the Divine Mother. And she has developed now a personal relationship with the Divine Mother. And she says she is conversing with her all the time. And she even asked some questions directly to the Divine Mother as we were speaking. So this is Connie's passion, is really to teach others that we can also communicate with the Divine Mother. And she's also one of our masterclass teachers in Wisdom from North membership, where she's teaching the class, Learn How to Be Your Own Energy Healer, where she's really empowering us to understand that we have the power within to heal ourselves. And you're so welcome to join us if you're looking for a spiritual community with like-minded people and get access to more than 50 plus masterclasses with teachers that I have handpicked for you. But hey, who is the Divine Mother? Well, watch or listen to the interview to hear Connie's perspectives on that. Hello, Connie. How are you? And a warm welcome.
Wonderful. So happy to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
I'm really excited about our conversation because I know you've had some profound spiritual experiences that really gave some healing to my heart. And also, your masterclass in my membership that you have provided is just beautiful. It's called Learning to Be Your Own Energy Healer. And you have a deep, deep meditation there that I did. And you speak about the Divine Mother. And I know sort of I have a concept of the Divine Mother, but I haven't been so connected to that. And that seems to be a speciality of yours
Mhm.
that comes from a deep place. It's almost like you were chosen to do this work that you're doing, but we'll get there later on. What I would love to start with is actually your first experience, your first spiritual experience, because I heard this video of you where you said, I was actually an atheist. And
Mhm.
then my world shifted with this incredible experience that you had. So I would love for you to share that.
All right. Okay. Well, this was a long time ago in my early 20s when I had that experience. And I had been questioning, who is God? I'd been raised in a traditional Protestant, actually, in the US it's called Episcopalian. It's the Church of England that's moved to the US. Anyway, it's a beautiful church, but it didn't do much for me. I was just going because my parents went there, and I couldn't figure it out. Um, who was God? What was God? And at one point, in college, I was doing a lot of thinking about that, and I was on the back of a bus one dark night, and I was riding back to my campus on this bus, and I thought, okay, God, if you really exist, you have to show me. You prove it to me. But until then, I'm not going to do any more prayers. I'm not going to, do attend your churches. I'm just going to, have some fun. and if you want me to, know who you are, show me somehow, and that's that. So I actually became an atheist, and I kind of formally made a declaration to God, like, okay, I'm not going to believe in you until you prove that you actually exist. And so that was it. And I went on, I don't know how long it was, maybe a year or maybe two, maybe 3 years. I was in at college at the time, the university, and interestingly enough, I was studying political science. And the reason I studied political science was I had this yearning to make the world a better place. And I thought, well, I'll learn about politics. I'll learn about government, and see what I can do to to support change through that venue. So anyway, and at the other time I was in college, so I was just having fun and partying and whatever college kids do. And so one when was it? I was walking with a friend one day out in the beautiful countryside, and we decided that we were going to lie on our backs in this field of grassy field and just absorb the earth and all of the energy of the earth. And so we were lying there one day, and I was looking up at the sky, and I had been an astronomy buff. I really loved the stars. So I knew where the constellations were, and how they moved. And I decided to, even though the sun was out, I couldn't see the stars. I located in the blue where I thought they were. And I started just kind of flowing into that blue sky. And and then the next thing I remember, it was like I I came back. I'm sure some people say, was it an out of body experience? And maybe it was. I feel like my body was somehow expanded as well, that everything was big. And I I experienced, just it seems so simple to say, but it's a dramatic experience if you haven't had it before, where I just became one with everything, one with the universe. This Everything disappeared, and I was just in this wholeness, this unity, this oneness. And I have no idea how long it lasted, but when I suddenly came back and realized, oh, I'm lying here on the ground looking up at the sky, everything had shifted. My whole worldview had shifted. And I said to my friend, I hardly knew how to talk about it. I said, I am one with you. And I'm one with the trees. I'm one with the grass, and even one with the space between us. Um, and he looked at me kind of quizzically, and I realized he didn't get it. And I thought, it doesn't matter. I got it. And so then, and I've never lost it. It's always been this awareness of being whole and one with everything. Did you want to say
So,
something?
yeah, I'm wondering. So there were no drugs, like no alcohol,
No?
nothing, and you
Oh,
were just lying there. And do you know how much time had passed? Did you communicate during this, or was it sort of you zoned out and just were laying there, and you were in your experience, and he was in his bubble in a
no,
way?
I wasn't communicating with him. I have no idea what he was doing. Um, and I was like definitely not identifying with my body. I was identifying with everything, with spaciousness. Um, I've since learned, because this set me on a quest to try to understand what it was I had experienced. And I started. I would okay, I would tell people about it, and I was desperately looking for someone else who had had the experience, because I thought, am I the only one who knows this? Am I the only one that knows that everything is one and everything is unified? And so I was trying to find someone else I could talk to about it. So I would try to talk to my friends, and I could tell they didn't get it. I would say, we're one with each other, and they would say, oh, you're on a drug. You better go talk to a psychiatrist. And this was in the late 60s or actually early 70s. And nowadays, I think people are more savvy about these things. And I might not have been, you know, taken in the same way. I think they would have gotten what I was explaining because many people have had this experience and have talked about it. But at that time, I didn't know. I I was like a complete newbie. I didn't know what was going on. I just knew that it was true. That's the only thing I knew. That this is
Yeah.
true.
You definitely received an answer. I love that we ask these questions and then we forget that we ask it, but the
Yeah,
divine does not
yeah, yeah. And
forget.
and the other interesting thing is, yeah, that was my first revelation. It's like, oh, this is God. God is this unity. God is this whole everything. God is this unlimited, infinite presence. And and people have talked about it that way, but to experience it is quite a different thing. And it's beautiful. And oh, I went through all kinds of confused thoughts about it. Like, does this mean that I'm like Jesus? I have to bring a message to the world? And I thought, oh no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not that type. And and so but anyway, and that actually when I had that thought, I thought I'd better be quiet about this. I'm just going to learn more about it myself before I start proclaiming that I've got the answer. um,
Yeah.
so so anyway, that it set me on a quest, and I started to, try to find other people who were experiencing it. And I did not find a lot of other people. People would send me to books of the great authors who had written about it. But most of these were dead. They weren't alive anymore. So finally, I went to ashrams. I went to meditation centers. They had back there, and it was called encounter groups. It was the it was the beginning of the self understanding movement, the self investigation movements that were going on, especially in the U.S. They were probably going on everywhere, but that's happened to be where I was. So they anyway. I definitely was actively seeking, and one time I had heard about this man called Baba Ram Das. He was the former Richard Alpert who experimented with LSD with Timothy Leary at Harvard University. Well, he had found a guru, and now he was teaching about what the guru had taught him. He'd gone to India and found a guru. So I went to a couple of his talks, and I thought, I want to look him in the eye, because I thought if I can look someone in the eye and they can hold my gaze, we can meet in this space, this unbounded, infinite space, and experience it. And I couldn't find anyone who could look me in the eye. I have to admit, I was a little bit intense about it. I would, go up and stare at people in the eye. And it would be a little off putting, I'm sure, but I was desperate to find somebody who could hold my gaze. And so I had an opportunity to meet him one time. And I thought, okay, I want to look at him in the eye and see if he knows what I experience. If he's experienced, it was more of an experience. If he's experiencing what I'm experiencing, because once you have that experience, you you become a kind of fearlessness. It's like, oh, okay, I'm everything. Why am I afraid? That would mean I would be just afraid of myself. Um, and so then that that seemed ridiculous to me. So I was not afraid to go up to him and just or anyone and look them in the eyes. But so when I went up to Ram Dass, they call him, um, and looked him in the eye. He held my gaze. He was the first person I found in a couple years who was able to hold my gaze.
I was hoping
And
you were going to say that because I know who he is and he was an amazing spiritual teacher. So I'm very
yes,
happy that he held your gaze.
oh yes, oh yes, he did. And I was, so gratified. But the sad, I probably would have signed on with him and followed him around, but he was going back to India the very next day to meet again with his spiritual teacher in India. So then I was kind of left on my own. Um, and finally, I did find a spiritual teacher. Somebody said, "What you're talking about, people experience in meditation. So uh, learn how to meditate." And the meditation that was around at that point was transcendental meditation, taught by Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. So I did go and I learned TM, and I, I practiced the procedure. It was very settling and very nice and deep. And I looked around, but I was looking for a person who was experiencing it. And so I finally said to the teachers who were teaching it, they started talking about what they called cosmic consciousness, that if you meditate long enough, you'll experience this cosmic consciousness where you experience that you're one with everything. And I still wasn't telling anyone that I was experiencing that. I was hiding that fact. But I said, "Do you know anyone who's experiencing it?" And they said, "Well, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi is." And so for the next year, I had to figure out how to go to see Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. And I called my staring in the eye thing, I called it my oneness test. And I and so all I wanted to do was go and look Maharishi Mahesh Yogi in the eyes and see if he could hold my gaze. That was my whole motivation for going to his course.
Did you? I'm very curious right now.
So, yes, I did have a chance to look him in the eye. And he went I went to the class, and it was a class to train teachers. It was a preliminary class to train teachers of TM. And so I went to the class, and we were given an advanced technique, and he had to check it. So there was a time when I was allowed to go up on stage and sit next to him and check my technique. And that was my opportunity. And so I did turn and look him in the eye, and literally fell into this deep well. It was almost as if I had the experience again, except this time I knew about it. And yes, I could tell he was experiencing this much bigger than I was. Um, you know, I feel like after having that experience with him, I had just dipped my toe into this wholeness, into this level of consciousness, and he was like experiencing it grandly. So I did sign on with him. I signed on and learned how to teach meditation, transcendental meditation, and for many years, that's what I taught.
Could
Until
you?
I started getting interested in talking to God. That's the next
That's the next. All right.
chapter.
Okay, let's take the oneness first. Could you explain a bit more about how it feels to be one and what that means and what that taught you? You said something about that. Why would I not be afraid anymore? How else did it change you? What does it do to a person who has experienced this? And what does it really mean? Like, I can only use my imagination in a sense, but I would love to hear more about the details of what that feels like.
Well, for me, it gave me a tremendous confidence, like a solidity. And it took me out of my head, out of my intellect, and into the heart and body, but primarily the heart, because I had been in college and I was, college students, the intellect is very active and we analyze everything and, um, you know, do all kinds of critical thinking. And, but what it did was it, ex- it dropped me out. It's almost like my brain went silent. And then I dropped into this deeper field of me, the heart. Really, I call it the heart. Um, and but it's not the small organ. It's the big infinite heart. And there's a tremendous amount of love and appreciation, for me, a, a perception of how everything fits together, of how all things are not separate, but there's a rhyme and a reason to everything. And so it's hard to judge something as being, well, I can't say I don't. I do judge things as being wrong or right. I would say I judge them now as being supportive to life or unsupportive to life. And the unsupportive to life, uh, I I don't want to associate with. I want to associate with the life supporting, life expanding things. And so that was one of the things that this experience sort of gave me. It was like, well, everything is fitting in. And when I started to work with Maharishi, when I became a teacher and so on, he explained to me how the evolution of life, how everything in the universe is unfolding, and how we are all a part of that evolutionary path, and how our individual lives are expanding and opening, and the experiences that we have even are for our growth. And this is an aside, but what I've learned since is that the experiences on the earth are some of the most intense, if not the most intense, in the universe, because we are so confronted. It's almost like daily we're confronted with what we're going to choose. Are we going to choose to tell the clerk in the grocery store that she gave us too much change and just pocket the extra change? Or are we going to be more ethical and say, you gave me too much. Here's a few dollars back. There are little things like that that we're constantly being asked. And of course, then the big things too. The do I do I cheat on my taxes, or don't I? And again, no judgment, but just that how those choices affect us. This is part of our evolutionary path. And we're all on that path, whether we know it or not. And the experience I have had is that if you let, is that there's so much knowledge in the heart. And if you let the heart lead, then you will make the what I call the divine choices, the choices that expand you instead of contract you and or punish you. Now, if you do make a mistake, you will get your hand slapped. But it's not God slapping it. It's nature saying that's not evolutionary for you. That's not a way that's going to expand your experience of life and gift your gifts.
It's
Um,
nature.
yeah, yeah,
That's an interesting perspective. So it's not the universe, it's not God, it's nature that is having that cause and effect in a way? Or
yes, yeah. But
oh,
nature is God.
right, okay. All right, I was sort of dividing the two. All right,
I mean,
okay.
you can. It is fun and useful to talk about it that way, to make the delineations. And I've also discovered that sages and saints down through the ages will make those distinctions to help us understand.
All right.
Because when we say, everything is one, it's like, oh my gosh, that's one big amorphous blob, and how do I maneuver through that? But then there are, there are aspects of it. There's nature, like you just
Yeah, that
commented.
makes sense. Like, we're one. Okay, cool. So we have the
Yeah.
answer.
So now what?
Now what? Yeah.
Am I supposed to get up and brush my teeth today? Or
Yeah. So you started speaking with God.
oh
I,
yeah,
I didn't know that, but I know that you call yourself, or you work with a divine mother, and
yeah.
that seems to be such a deep passion within you to help people connect with the divine mother. So how did this happen?
Okay. So so this is the sort of, so after I learned to meditate and I learned all about the evolutionary process and meditated for many years. I mean, I still meditate. It's not that I've dropped it. But what happened was my devotion to God started to grow. And I didn't even know it was devotion to God. I just knew my I started to just love started to increase. And so much so that I wanted to meet the creator. I was experiencing the oneness, the wholeness. And this is what TM actually takes you into, this transcendent, this source of all life, that's pure being. The physicists have called it the quantum field, or the unified field. And they've determined that it's from this unified field that all the high energy particles and little, I don't know, they've got names for them. But anyway, these little particles that make up the nucleus of an atom, and then atoms make up cells, which make up matter, that all of this springs out from this field, this unbounded, pure field, which is also the self with a big S, our true self, because we spring out of that too. Um, and so anyway, there was a lot of study about physics when I was in the transcendental meditation movement, because Maharishi Mahesh Yogi himself has a bachelor's degree. He's no longer on the planet, but in a bachelor's degree in physics. So he's always science oriented. And I had learned to present this spiritual knowledge in terms of science. And that was really great for the logical Western mind. And it helped people understand why to meditate, and how they did all kinds of scientific research on people meditating, and how it makes you healthier and stronger and more centered and capable in life. So, but my heart started to grow, and I thought, I want to meet God. I mean, Jesus met God. Jesus knew God. I was raised in a Christian tradition, um, and and even Maharishi was, said you can shake hands with God, and I thought, wow, I want to do that. So I kind of went on another quest. My life is filled with quests to try to, because I wanted to talk to God. I called it searching for the kingdom of heaven, because there's this phrase, the kingdom of heaven is within you, which I believe is originated by Jesus. But many other great masters, teachers have said, yes, the kingdom of heaven is within you. And I was experiencing this infinite, spacious presence, but I wasn't experiencing like angels or, other specific heavenly beings that many people have talked about experiencing. So I wanted that, but I did not want to speak to somebody. I wanted to speak to the highest. I didn't want to speak to one of the underlings. If I was going to seek God, I wanted to talk to God and meet God. So I started my own research, and I didn't even tell my husband, because if I failed, I didn't want anyone to know. So So I would by that time I had a child, and when she took her nap every day, I would go in to do my heaven research, and I would simply close my eyes and say, "Okay, where's the kingdom of heaven? I'm looking for it." And I'd say, "Jesus, you said it's there. I've read in books that it's there. I'm ready. I want to have it." Nothing happened. I would go there and I would sit, and it would just be kind of a blank darkness. And but I did it anyway. I was persistent because I believed what Jesus said, and I believed what Maharishi said, that the kingdom of heaven is within you. And I was trying to look inside. So, so I would sit there day after day, and sometimes I would get very frustrated and say, "Jesus, you said it's here. Show me." I would really like rattle and shake the heavens, or what I hoped were the heavens, and and nothing happened. I was met with silence. So one day something happened, and it was a very simple thing. I was sitting there with my eyes closed, and I saw this little sparkle of light, and it was kind of in the lower left hand corner of my inner vision. And I thought, "Oh, finally something." And I just started watching the light, and the light started to do things. It started to grow and expand. It started to um, show me what it could do. It would burst into like hundreds of different spots of light, and then it would come together again, and it would rise up like a wave of light, and then it would disappear, and it would become a soft glow of light. And light was I got the distinct impression that light was communicating with me. It was saying, "Look what I can do." And and so I started to watch it. And then every day when I would go into my heaven research, I would call on the light. I'd say, "Okay, light, come forth." And eventually it would show up, and I would continue to watch it, and it would just display all kinds of beautiful formations, and some fireworks, and then some just soft glowing hues. And um and what I noticed was that I started to feel really good, that it was changing the way I was experiencing myself, and the world around me. And so I thought, I wonder if I could use this in my activity when things aren't going so well. And so I wrote down a few sentences about what light does, and it was, "The light is pouring into me now. The light is filling me now. More and more light is opening within me now." And on and on. I just started talking about the light again and again. And actually that became what are now one of my first tools, vibrational healing tools. It's the divine light tool, which I almost always begin with. And what I learned from doing that is that I could I could activate light. I could manifest light. It it did reveal itself to me in the beginning, but then I learned how I could call it forth. And so I did it for myself. I did it for my daughter, who, of course, babies just, they love it. They love things like light and love. But the big one was my husband, who would come home from his office, and after a hard day's work, he would be a little grumpy and so on, and tired, and I started pouring light into him. Not So he didn't know. I just would do it inside, saying to, "More light is filling David now, more and more divine light." And we'd be talking, and I'd be going, "And more light is filling him." And I noticed he changed within a few minutes, actually. His whole demeanor changed. And so that gave me the idea that I was on to something. I was on to something that could really help people. Um, and I didn't even know, I now call them energy tools. So I started developing these tools. I developed divine with, and they're all with divine qualities, divine light, divine love, divine truth, divine grace. These are all divine energies that are slightly different um, in what they do and also how they feel. You can get used to the feeling, the sensing them.
But
So
did this satisfy you? Was this your answer to the divine kingdom within?
no,
Ah, okay.
I needed more. I needed more. I still hadn't found the kingdom within me. I had just gotten a few tools to help me get there. And then I realized that I had some blocks. It's like, it's really like I was being taught by the light, that I had some blocks. My heart was congested. Um, I was shy. I had been shy my whole life to do public speaking, or really to share who I am, to share who I truly am. And I would hide myself. I think many people do, because often children get shut down. You say, no, be quiet, or that's not true. And children often have innocent expressions of truth that kind of embarrass, like, the adults, but they're true. And so, but anyway, you're shut down many times when you're a child. You kind of develop a tightness in your throat so that you don't speak out what it is you really want to say and who you really are. So I had that. I found that. And I had a lot of anxiety and so on. And so I use these tools, the divine light, to to clear myself, to open myself up. And it had a lot to do with my heart. My heart was very closed and hidden. I hid myself. Um, and so these tools, and I was given more tools. Um, as I continued to work with the light, I would discover more tools to use. And so I went through a whole period of clearing myself. And I also introduced them to my friends. My I have a couple sisters and my brother, and I introduced them to them. My mother was even receptive. And then I went outside of my family, started sharing them with close friends, and they all loved it. So um so okay, so I'm doing these healings for people, and as a result of my meditation practice for many years, I had learned how to go into that transcendental field, that source area, that source field where most meditation is designed to go. That's the point, to go from the surface all the way into that silent depths. Um, and so what I had noticed, and then by watching the light, is that I was able to perceive where that unbounded infinite source, that pure being, started to manifest into form. Um, and it literally was, let there be light. I mean, this was just so beautiful. As a lot of the scriptural statements are, are true. I mean, when it's like, let there be light. And I would be there. I mean, I don't know why I'm surprised that they're true. But of course they're more true when you can experience them than when someone just tells you. So I started to experience how this light would emerge from this amorphous unboundedness. And it would be, and so one day, and I would used to watch it, and it was beautiful. One day I was watching it, and this wave of light rose up out of the source, and then the wave divided, and then those two waves divided into four waves, and they again divided and expanded. And at a certain point, there were currents of light that would come off the waves and flow, into the universe. And I'm not sure where they would flow. But all of this majesty started to occur, and it get more and more light and more amazing, like orchestrations of light. And I got the impression that these currents would they were creating particles. So these particles create atoms. It came to me like, oh, the particles are the nucleus of the atom, and then the atom gets created, and the atom creates whatever comes next, cells, um, and then the whole material world begins. So, and I was just awed by this whole thing. And at a certain point, I, I said, it just spontaneously came out. Who are you? I said that to the wave. Who are you? And immediately, what came back to me was, I am the Divine Mother. I am creating the universe. And it was like, whoa, that was just overwhelming, even idea for me. And yet, I I was watching it, and I continued to watch, until it sort of subsided. And but then I realized, okay, I'm signing on with the Divine Mother. I want to learn from her. And so ever since then, I have been studying with the Divine Mother, I guess you could say. Um, and what I learned is the Divine Mother is the birther of creation, just like any mother. And that I was watching this process of birth. And now, uh, when I explain who the Divine Mother is, the way I describe it is, the Divine Mother is that unity of the Mother, Father, God principle. And the Divine Mother, who has the power of creativity, very enlivened, very just in inside, because that's what the mother does. That's what the mother energy does. It creates, um, and it creates with love. And so I've been focusing on her because we need that so much in our world at this time. The Divine Mother energy is coming forth in the world because we need that. The world has become conflicted. It's become um, too harsh and polarized. And the mother is coming now to bring her family back together. And so you're seeing a lot of mother and divine feminine expressions now, because the Divine Mother is bringing the world back together. If anyone can do it, she's bringing her family back together into a harmonious, coherent whole, because
So
we definitely have lost that.
what I'm curious about is that you went on a quest to find God, the divine kingdom. And then you get an answer, this is the divine mother. But does that mean that the the divine mother is God? And why is God feminine in a way? Or is that, God, we don't know what is, and divine mother is sort of below God in the hierarchy, and there is a divine father as well, and you
Well,
connected with her, not him or divine father.
I'm asking her right now. One of the things I've learned to do is how to communicate with her. And so, Mother, how do you explain this? And talk about that now. Okay, okay, this is fun. Um, she's saying, yes, I am the Divine Mother. I am I would, she's saying first cause. I am the birther, but I birth based upon my relationship with what you call the Divine Father, which
Oh,
is the silent presence that's filled with potential for everything. And I come forth out of there, out of that potential with the creative, the creative powers. And and I create many, many divine beings, archangels, what some what some traditions call the gods, the pantheon of gods. And the gods have been recognized in many, many ancient traditions, and many present traditions. But we are, the thing to remember is that we are all one, and that every culture has its own representatives of that divine unity. And so that's who I am. She's saying, I am all of those things. I am that unit. Like, even look at the fingers. It's like here, the finger's one, and now it just comes out as many. And that, but we all know that we're one, and we can all go back into that oneness. So the Divine Father supports all that. And it isn't that I am different than the Divine Father. We're one. But I carry on the, what might be called the feminine qualities. And birthing is one of those qualities.
wow. Is this the fact of all universes? Or is it just one our universe? Like, science is speaking about
Oh,
parallel
oh, oh.
universes. All of them.
He says all universes.
Oh, wow.
There's that impulse to create. And then at a certain time, when the universe has fulfilled um, its purpose, it collapses. It goes into silence. It goes into that silent presence. I mean, this happens in hundreds of billions and trillions of years from now. It's not like soon. But if you read some of the ancient Vedic texts, I have studied lightly, not intensely, but the Vedic tradition of India, which is tremendous, filled with tremendous knowledge. But eventually, the universes are created, and then they dissolve, and then they're created again, like that. But this is over, I mean, hundreds of trillions of years, longer than we can really even imagine.
But this must be amazing for you that you have this direct connection and she's speaking to you. Uh
Excuse me.
how yeah, can we all have that connection?
Yes, yes, yes. And I teach people how to do that. And because that's the whole, I mean, what I finally, settled on was, I want other people to know, I want to empower people in their own self, because this is, that's what I was empowered in, is my own self. And we can speak to the divine, to whatever, Mother Mary. Um, and I say the Divine Mother because I call her, she's the overarching mother, that sort of first impulse that comes out. Even, I mean, I've even, okay. So there's an ancient book called the Bhagavad Gita. It's from the Hindu scriptures. And in the Bhagavad Gita, it talks about their three main deities are Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. And if you know anything about them, that's they create and maintain and dissolve the universe. So it talks about their lifespans in this book. and it tells, all these hundreds of trillions of years that their lifespan goes. And then there's the question, is there anyone's lifespan longer than that? And there's they the scripture says yes, it's the Divine Mother, and her lifespan is like 10 times longer than their lifespans. So indicating to me anyway that she created them. So I thought that was pretty pretty amazing. So that's why I'm like, Divine Mother, when she says I'm first cause, she means that first impulse that comes out of that unbounded absolute presence. And because it's the creative impulse, which is universally associated with the feminine. I mean, everywhere, that first cause, that impulse to create, birth, is a feminine quality.
And then, of course, I don't understand what created her, you know?
Oh, well, I know.
Okay.
Well, it's pretty abstract. I mean, because I've investigated this. Um, and I mean, I don't know if we want to go here, but oh, sorry.
We have a few minutes left, so we can go there a little bit.
Oh, okay. Okay. But I do want to tell everyone how to talk to Divine Mother too.
Okay, awesome.
Um, so anyway, it's just there's this amorphous sea, this ocean of wholeness, and it starts to warm up. It starts to warm up, and then it it warms up, and there's an impulse of love. The first impulse that comes out of that pure potentiality, which that wholeness holds, is an impulse of love.
Mm.
And that impulse is the impulse to love something else.
Wow.
Okay, I hope I'm saying
Yeah,
this
that's
right.
beautiful. That means that everything is love, that everything comes from love.
Exactly.
Mm.
And so what happens is the mother creates an expression of herself in order to love herself.
Oh,
And
wow.
then, and then out of all of that comes all the expressions of all of us who are also created to love each other. And the love is tremendously creative. So it's as I understand it, the most creative power in the universe, and it creates all these wonderful things that we create, that humans create, and other beings that aren't human create, and so yeah, the universe is a universe of love. It's
Wow.
beautiful, just like that.
All
But
right. Yeah. Let if you want to teach us how we can connect with the
yes,
Divine Mother or communicate.
right, yes, because I well anyway, I've taught myself and practiced. So here's what I've honed it down now to 4 steps. Um, and if anyone wants to go to my website, I can talk more about it and explain more about it there. But I teach a class called Dialogue with Divine Mother. So first of all, it's important to get very clear, and that's what my divine tools do. These energy tools that I've created. Um, I don't know if you want to tell your viewers, the members that I'm so happy to be talking with, um, that they are, uh, that I have a book called Divine Mother Healing, which lists all of these tools like the divine light, the divine love, something called the Go command. Anyway, they're all in this book. That they're on the meditation that I do. I use those tools. So anyway, so you get settled and quiet, and then you say, Divine Mother, come forth. That's really all you have to do. She's so available. But you do it with your heart voice. You say, Divine Mother, come forth. And then you wait. You don't go searching. You just settle back and wait. Divine Mother, come forth. And what you're waiting for is an impulse of energy to, that's her. She is coming forth as a vibration, as an energy. So different people will notice that first impulse in different ways. Some people will notice a warmth in their heart. Other people notice a little thrill in their system. There are many different ways people notice it. So don't discount whatever you're noticing. So, because the next question you ask is to that energy, you say, are you Divine Mother? And then you settle back again. You just, again, be in that sort of silent presence and notice what the energy does. You've just talked to it. You've said, are you Divine Mother? And now it's going to answer you. And it'll answer vibrationally. And so if so notice if that vibration expands or rises or deepens, does something to become bigger, to indicate it's bigger. In the vibrational language, the expansion is a yes, a contraction is a no. And the nothing happening, we just consider that a no too. It just means we haven't noticed what's happening. So don't go with when nothing happens. You really want to get the yes. So the first question is, are you, Divine Mother, come forth? It's a call. And then the second one, when you notice something, you say, are you Divine Mother? And again, using the heart voice is important because the intellect can negate anything. So just the heart is open and receptive. And if you get an expansion, are you Divine Mother? And you get a yes, then this is an important question. Do you come in the name of divine truth? You want to ask that because you don't want to. The divine truth is, do you come in the name of that infinite unity of life? The divine truth is that we are all one. Every other truth is a temporary truth, except for that one. It's true that we're a certain age, but that'll change in a year. It's true that the sun is shining, but that will change in several billion years. So we're looking for the truth that never changes, the divine truth. So we ask if she comes in the name of the divine truth. Yes. And you're again looking for an expansion. And then if you get that, a yes on that, you say, what is your message? And then again, you wait. You're sort of rising up with a question and then settling back after you ask it and wait for the response. And in the beginning, you may not get words as a message, but you'll get images perhaps, or some people get visuals, or you might get a feeling. It might be as simple as, I love you. You'll get a feeling of love. That's very often the first communication that people get. Something about love, or I'm protecting you. So you have to then learn how to intuit the energies, the answer that you're getting. And as you practice it, it gets more clear, and you learn how to put words onto the vibration. So you're really learning how to speak a vibrational language. And as you practice, you get better and better at it. And in the classes I teach, we have classes, 8 weeks, where we practice every week and so on. So people can, I definitely have never found anyone who can't do it. It's really, I've discovered that it's just part of our nature to be able to do this.
Oh,
It's
wow.
part of what we're designed to do is talk with the divine.
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah, I love that way of looking at it because that doesn't feel natural in a way. It feels natural to be asking, but maybe not. Sorry. Maybe not to receive an answer, but why not, right?
why
Now,
not?
why
Well,
not? Yeah,
ask and ye shall receive is a law of the universe.
that is true.
Yeah.
And like you said, there's so many of those sentences or quotes or what sayings that are in old scriptures that you are experiencing that seems to be true. It's not
Yes.
just a sentence that sounds
Right.
nice. It's real wisdom. And I love that you gave us some tools today because you really did. And also, I love what I learned from your experience. And that was especially that you asked powerful questions to God and you let it go. That's another, law or tip from many spiritual teachers. Let it go. You really let it go. And then it came. It came with grace. But then you had to search. It didn't come, in your lap, like all your questions. You had to go and search for a long time and you meditated for a long time and slowly but surely more and more came, but you also had to heal things and be ready for things
Mhm.
and vibrate on a certain frequency, it seems like, to be able to receive this. And I mean, I'm just learning so much from your experience, not to say that this is the path for everybody, but it seems like to me there are some similarities that yes, we can have spiritual experiences by grace, that it just happens. But then
Mhm.
also, when we put in the work and we do not give up and you stay there, you stay there, you stay there, why is it not coming? Then one day something happens.
Yeah.
And I love that. It just gives some hope and some explanations on at least to me, on how I can communicate with, there are some issues in my life that I haven't resolved, but maybe I haven't really either let go or I haven't asked enough or I haven't practiced enough. There's still many things I can do, I'm feeling right now, that I haven't done.
Yes.
So this was so interesting. Thank you for sharing like the whole story.
Well, you're welcome. You're welcome. And it was a joyful experience sharing it with you. And Divine Mother, she she wants to talk to everyone. I mean, and a lot of people think what I do is channel Divine Mother, and they use the word channeling. And channeling is a way of bringing something in from a more etheric, subtle plane. Um, but I think of myself as being in internal conversation, and so I don't consider it's definitely not trance channeling where you you give up your body to something else. It's really enlivening your body more, waking it up. The divine qualities within you start to become much more activated. So I mean, I'm encouraging everyone to at least try to talk. Start. And then there's an important thing to do, and that is to discern that what you've really got is the divine stream. Um, because people can get messed up if they're talking to some, I don't know, lesser being, lower level entity that just wants to manipulate you. So that's why that question, do you come in the name of divine truth, is so significant, because everything in the universe knows what the truth is. They may not be living it, they may not even be encouraging it, but the truth is that we are all one. We are connected.
And they will say no then if they're a lower
Yes,
entity.
they
Okay.
will. Yeah, you'll get a no. And then if you get a no, you have to say, go into the light, or break it. The break command is one of my energy tools, where you just break up the energy. Break, 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 break.
Yeah, I
And
remember that in the meditation. That
yeah,
was powerful. Yeah.
right. So you break up any disruptive negative energies, break, break, break. And and then you're clear. And then you can ask again, Divine Mother, come forth. And the
Wow.
next question, and do you come in the name of divine truth? So the discernment process is very significant. And
Yeah. Yeah, I love that you point that out because it's not just to connect with anything, it's really to connect with what you want to connect with.
well, yeah, it's to connect to the highest level.
Yeah.
And I say divine mother, but Jesus, Jesus and divine mother had the same message, love.
Mm.
Love was intrinsic to their message. So many people, or Mother Mary, I mean, she's like beautiful. I mean, amazing. And she is one with the Divine Mother. She's our Christian expression of that Divine Mother.
Mm.
And so Kuan Yin, who's very popular, there's a lot of interest in Kuan Yin these days. She is a Divine Mother from the Buddhist tradition, and they're all one, and yet they have their own flavors. Um, when Kuan Yin is pure compassion, Mother Mary is just so she's definitely compassion and healing, embracing. Um, who else do I call on? I call on all of the ones from Judaism has Shekinah. Um, Hinduism has a number of them, Lakshmi, Saraswati, and they all symbolize different aspects of the divine. Lakshmi's the abundance, Saraswati's the wisdom, and you want to ask, do you come in the name of the divine truth? And they do,
Ah,
because they're coming from that unity. They haven't lost the connection of the wholeness and the oneness, which is the truth of who we are, who we all are.
yeah.
Anyway, I could go on and on.
Oh
I don't.
wow. Yeah, this is just so huge. And when you're talking about, Mary Magdalene and all these divine mothers in different cultures, I guess that means that we can, we personalize it to understand it better, that it's maybe easier to connect with that instead of the
Yes,
big divine
exactly.
mother that seems too
That's right. Yeah,
tangible.
it,
Yeah.
it is easier to connect with somebody you're familiar with
Right.
a divine being that you're familiar with.
Right. Oh, this
So
was beautiful. I encourage everybody, either or both, go into Connie's website and see what she's got there, or check out her masterclass in Wisdom from North membership. I'm very, very grateful for it. It was so beautiful. It's coming out in February 2023 with our membership. And there was such a beautiful meditation there that was really healing to me. So thank you so much for sharing. And what a story and what a gift you have to bring forward to people. And thank you so much for doing what you're doing and for showing up today.
you're welcome. And also in the master class, really what I wanted to do is empower the people, that
Mm.
see it, to really like realize, oh, I can do this. I have these tools. I can change my life, or even the world. We can change the world with vibrational tools. I
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah. I mean, you're teaching us how to be our own energy healer. And that's so
Yeah,
important too.
right. That's it. That's the title.
Yeah.
So
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Connie. Thank you for being here today.
nice to be with you.
And
Bye
thank you for
bye.
watching, everybody. Much light from Norway and the US. Bye bye. Hi everybody, thank you so much for watching this video, and if you liked it, please subscribe and like the video or comment below and let me know what you think. And I would also love for you to check out my other videos on YouTube or wisdomfromnorth.com. See you in the next video.